Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Coach's Corner. I forgot to post my questions, so I don't have anything. But hopefully you guys do.
I got some like deep questions.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got some good ones. I got plenty anyway.
No, I got like 3 questions that have nothing to do with bodybuilding from the same person.
Real quick before we jump in, the Moses Muscle. Well, that's my buddy Justin from around here. Owns a gym out here. Dude, yeah, I'm down. Let me know when you're training legs. I'll come out. Sorry.
Some stiffies. What kind of stiffy?
Actually, put this over here.
Obviously, from all the beards.
Ooh, it's from yours, really, though, Tim. How many beer compliments have you gotten the last week?
Little ginger. I haven't been out of my house in like fucking 10 days. And I wish that weren't a lie. Today, I actually went to the gym for the first time and I got in there. I did like 2 sets, started to feel nauseous, walked on the treadmill for like 15 minutes and left.
That sounds like a solid workout. Do you still see that lady that started cursing you off when you were talking to me on the phone?
I haven't seen her since.
You scared her off?
I guess so.
That was hilarious.
She was a chubby bitch, so she probably didn't want anything to do with the gym, you know? She was just there that one time. She wanted to wear her new outfit, her new fit.
Moses really likes stiff like deadlifts.
I thought I saw Riley there. There was at least one other ginger in the building, and I immediately thought it was Riley. And I was like, no, that dude's way too big to be Riley.
Riley looks good. He's looking good.
Yeah, Riley's looking good. He's coming along. He's at that point now. I think we're like 8 weeks out. I think we'll be 7 weeks out Saturday. So I think he's we're right there. We're about to pull the trigger, you know?
I just see his love life all over Instagram now. It's so motivating to me.
His what?
His love life's all over Instagram.
Oh, I know.
It's so cute. It's adorable, Riley.
Lover boy.
I feel like I'm watching Lifetime. If I was on Clomid right now, I'd definitely cry at their pictures.
All right, let's get started.
All right. Who's first?
Oh, yeah. Who's going first? I guess
Maria.
Maria doesn't have any questions. Let's see here. What do we got? Let's go with what are the funner ones, maybe? If you could put your consciousness into any object, what would it be?
A dog.
Well,
that's not an object, I don't think.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was thinking inanimate object, not an animal.
Inanimate.
Yeah, that's the way I took it. Inanimate.
A fridge.
Object. A fridge? Why the fuck would you put your consciousness into a fridge? What are you going to gain from that?
Because I could eat it. Eat everything in the fridge. I don't know. I honestly no.
I think our minds are definitely in the same spot right now because that's exactly
what
I'm doing. But
I didn't want to say it first.
You guys 100%. Suck.
I'm just saying.
The thing that's fucked up is there was 0 second follow. Like, as soon as you said it,
yeah, exactly. Like, which all I was considering is which way am I going? Like, am I going to be the Rose? Am I going to be the BBC? Like, where am I going here? With this?
God.
You know what I mean?
Too much, you guys. That just goes to show men's brains and women's brains are very different. I go a dog and then a fridge.
Yeah, exactly. How the fucking fridge? Like, how'd you get to a fridge?
No, my answer was clear cut from the beginning.
Yeah, I think I'm going with BBC just because I'm a little white guy, so it works on both ends of the spectrum. I get to experience things that I've never experienced before. So that's it. That's it for me. That's where I'm going with it. An inanimate object.
Okay, more fun ones.
Shit.
Oh my.
Yeah, what? How we have to end it?
A sports car.
This and the wankers.
Where are you guys coming up with this shit? Why would
sports
it be cool
cars?
to do?
You can go room all day.
That's an amazing idea.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, but how long would that be amazing for? That'd be amazing for like one drive. Beach. You know what I mean?
No. Dude, have you ever had a sports car or like a motorcycle or anything? There's nothing better than just fucking zipping.
I haven't either.
Oh my God, there's nothing better than just fucking booking it.
When I got my license, my mom had a Shelby GT Mustang, like a red one with the black top, and she had to get rid of it once I got my license because their insurance was going to go up to like $25,000 a year.
I had a Mitsubishi Lancer Evo or whatever the one is with the turbo in it. It had a 6-cylinder in it, and I was probably like mid-20s or something like that. I fucking went onto the parkway when it was raining out, and I took the jug handle or whatever it is onto the parkway, and my back tire spinned out from underneath me, and I went right into the guardrail. I literally drove that car from that from going into the guardrail to the dealership, and I brought a Chrysler 300 right there. I traded it in, and I was like, this isn't for me. I'm good. I'm good on this. That was it. But yeah, so next one I got from him is same person, Bernard. Thank you very much. Would you rather bang Whoopi Goldberg or get kicked in the nuts by Pele?
Fuck.
Easy answer, Pele, every time.
I don't know these people. I know Whoopi
How much?
Goldberg.
How much test am I on?
So I was gonna say easy answer. Whoopi, come on over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was gonna say you give me a gram of sus to Whoopi
Dude,
Goldberg.
all right. Tim, ask you
Lights
that
on or
question
off?
after- Ask that question after you watch half of an episode of The View, and you'll probably change your answer.
I know. I was gonna say I haven't seen Whoopi Goldberg in like 15 years, probably longer than that.
Is it?
When was the last
Are
time
the
I saw
lights? Are the
fucking-
lights on or off?
It's a good call. That's a good
On.
call.
Oh,
Ah.
nah, I'm getting
Yeah,
kicked
he's
in the
head on.
dick. I'm getting kicked right in the dick. I'm getting-
I'm still taking one for the team.
No.
So
don't let us know how it is. We won't
I
ask.
guess the last stupid one would be: could you beat up Steph Cohen in a fight?
Who's Steph Cohen?
Oh, she's the one that
she was
just
just-
posted the nude photos all over.
Oh, did she? I thought she was on Goop Tube or Goop You.
She was.
Who you?
She
But
posted.
was that for
No,
that
it
was for nudes? I thought that was for something else.
So apparently she got arrested because she hacked stole the laptop of her ex-husband or fiance's new girlfriend or some shit and took all her naked pictures and sold them all over or posted them all over the internet.
Sounds like a
Really?
crackhead.
And then she tried to like drop kick the fucking officer or sweep kick him and get him down and got arrested for that too.
Sounds enticing.
But probably not because
Um,
I did a video with her when I was with Animal after I won collegiates 6 fucking years ago, and she was so rude.
Was she jacked though? She a big chick? Because I thought she was like a power lifter or
She's
something. right?
short. She's very strong. Don't get me. She's very strong. But I was with Gary Turner and her. We were in the Animal Gym in New Brunswick or wherever it's at, and
Yeah.
she like wouldn't talk to anybody. We were like, "Oh, should we do back?" I'm a young kid. Like I didn't give a fuck. Like whatever they said. She was just rude.
That's what I saw.
She wouldn't take a picture or anything.
That's what I saw. She tried to frame her ex
Oh,
for
wow.
beating her, but she took pictures the day after a boxing match, which I didn't even know she was a boxer. But
Me
apparently
neither.
she's boxing, took pictures of her beat up face the next day, and then tried to blame her ex for
Damn.
beating the shit out of her.
Nah,
yeah.
I didn't know that. I just
Um,
saw
yeah.
She
I
should
just
be
saw
beat up more.
City.
It
Damn.
sounds like it sounds like a female that I'd like to get in a fight with, that's for sure. Sounds like it might turn out.
What about Ronda
Well,
Rousey?
No, definitely not fighting Ronda Rousey.
What
I would
about
definitely-
Amanda Nunes?
No, definitely not. I'm
She
not
she
fighting
would
any
probably
chick that
kill.
fights.
She would kill all of us, Amanda Nunes,
Yeah,
100%.
Exactly.
None of us would
She-
stand a shot.
I
Yeah.
can't even fight.
Especially with my
Anyone.
vertigo right now, I'd probably fucking I'd fucking get in a fucking rear
So-
naked choke and I'd die immediately.
Amanda Nunes was like on that ESPN thing like a few years back, like where they like test her stats and stuff. And she fights at 135, and they said that her hands are like her force is enough for a fucking UFC light heavyweight. That's insane. That she punches like a 205-pound. That'll fuck us up, dude.
No,
Bad.
thank you.
That's crazy.
All right.
All right. No, man.
She's 135 pounds, but they're saying her force.
Yeah,
her
but the
force is
force.
like
I understand.
What's a
I
light
understand,
what's a
but I
light
think-
heavyweight?
A light
You say
heavyweight?
lightweight? Or
No,
light heavyweight. you
light
said?
heavyweight, 205, yeah.
Yeah.
That's John Jones's class, bro. Like that's
Yeah.
fucking crazy.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I just think with that much of a weight gap, over 100 pounds between somebody, no matter what, you have a shot winning. Like you got a whole
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
hit
Like
her
a
once,
random.
if you hit her once, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but she's so fast. Have you ever seen her fight? It's fucking
Actually,
nuts.
that's not true. She gets hit a lot. I'm sure she's got a good jaw. You know what I mean? She'd have to. I don't know. Who knows with that kind of shit?
What about John Jones?
No chance, dude.
Right, John Jones.
I'm not
Yeah.
even looking
How-
twice at John Jones.
How much would you need to fight John? Like get in the octagon with him?
Can you guarantee me that I won't die? Or end
I
up with
can't
permanent
guarantee
brain
you
damage?
anything, bro. It's just a UFC fight. Bruce Buffer announces you. You got the gloves on. You got your little shorts on.
I mean, my plan is to tap like immediately. Like as soon as he grabs me, I'm done, dude.
No, I
As
would just
long
lay
as-
down and start tapping before he even came
Yeah.
across. How much would you
All
need?
right. A good amount of money. Let's put it that way. Like if
100
I'm
million?
fucking 100 million, yeah, for sure. I'll definitely take an ass
Absolutely,
beating
yeah.
for 100 million. You're out of your mind. That's. I'll do just about anything for 100 million, including fucking Whoopi
No,
Goldberg.
don't say. Okay, I thought you were going a different way with
Um,
it.
like I said, Steve, anything for 100 million. Once you come into your 100 million, you let me know and we'll figure it out. So serious questions. Let's see here. I saw you just popped on who asked this question. Best exercise to hit lower lats. And congrats to him too. He just won middleweights at Atlantic States.
Nice.
Yeah.
I really like you set the cable cam up high and you put like a bench 90 and you row like this.
Yeah.
Like with the
Exactly what
cam.
I was
really
gonna
like
say.
I really like those.
I have
I
those
feel
in
like
my
those-
plan, and
Yeah.
they're the only movement that I actually get sore in my lats after, and I can feel it.
I feel like that's a good one.
Yeah, I'd say that's the number one that we program just because it's doable in every gym too. Like you don't have to have any specific piece of equipment, just a pulley and a bench to set it up.
Yep.
I would say set it up with a bench. I see a lot of people still doing that while they're like kneeling on the floor and they have no brace or something like that. And so it's like you're not going to maximize that at all. You need some sort of opposing force there to be able to get enough weight on that. But I also like Panada is a brand that's getting popular. Panada has a high row that's really good in that position. Hammer Strength, old school Hammer Strength has a supinated grip there, right? Whenever we're doing something for that lower lat, you really want to make sure that you have a neutral to a supinated grip to be able to make sure you're driving that elbow in the right position. But yeah, the Hammer Strength has that nice high row that you can use in that position. So anything that's kind of like a high row in that way, or anything that gets your humerus out in front of you in this position. We train lats so often in this position, we forget that lower lat's going to get, and then you're lining up the force production the right way too, right? Like anything that's coming in this direction is now coming in line with the musculature that we're trying to hit back here. So anything that lines up the force well there and gets your humerus out in front of you, not overhead, but out in front, is going to be a good option for the lower lat.
I like the
Yeah.
Nautilus one too. I think Jersey Shore Fitness Shop has
Yeah,
it.
the Nautilus
and it
one is
has the
perfect.
actual handle there that you like
That
can
was
brace
like the
against.
only one for so long. That and the Hammer Strength one. Even the Hammer Strength one kind of sucks if you don't maneuver yourself the right way. The Nautilus one sets you up perfectly for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. I was gonna say I use the Nautilus one every week. I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And the other thing I would say on top of the any type of like high row variation, if you want to call it that. I think if you have a good connection to your lats, using a supinated grip on a pullover machine is also a really good option. Not the Hammer Strength one. That thing is like the biggest piece of shit ever made. Don't ever touch it. But Cybex or Nautilus, both of them like really lock you in. They got a seat belt, and if you can just think about driving down with the elbow from up here. I was doing it today actually, and I just felt right in the insertion in my lower lat. So that's another good one.
I don't know if I have really tight shoulders or what it is, but whenever I do anytime I've tried to do some type of pullover, I literally cannot do it. My like shoulders don't allow me. It's just very weird. And I feel like I'm gonna snap in half when I get into those machines.
But that's the thing with the different machines. Remember, no machine is made for any one person. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they're made for, yeah. So it's one of those ones where it's like you gotta manage where you got. I would always tell you, like, get your arm in a position where right before that shoulder starts to rotate, like you would never come up past that rotation. You know what I mean? Once you get up past that rotation, you're really shortening a lot of that musculature in the back instead of lengthening it. So you just stay in the position that fits you best in terms of how far up you're going to allow that to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So from there, see anything else that has to do with training specifically. Macros seem daunting. Is there a basic way to count or calculate macros? And this is for a competitor.
Count
It's on meal
macros?
plans right now. Yeah, like is there an easier way to count macros or calculate macros? The easiest way possible, I guess she's asking.
Easiest way would be to
Use an app.
use an app and plan your shit out. ahead
Yeah,
of
and
time.
that's what she's aware of chronometer. So I don't know if there's anything in particular she's looking for here, but at the end of the day, I would say as far as tracking the macro, especially during an off season where she's at right now, it really comes down to just practice. Like it's practice
Mhm.
makes perfect. You know what I mean? And you're going to be able to get a hang of that relatively quickly. But I think for a lot of people, it's just a matter of getting over that hump and doing it for 2-3 weeks in a row. And then it should be something. If you're tracking macros and you're getting confused because you're putting in different shit all the time and you're trying to make this work and make that work, like at the end of the day, you're doing it wrong. Like that's
Mhm.
not the goal as far as macros are concerned. If you're a competitor, you should be putting yourself into a basically like a system or your own meal plan, if you would, that you get to generate every day. And then a lot of that shit is just literally copy and paste from one day to the
Mhm.
next. And then that one meal that you want to swap around on any given day, instead of having 99% lean turkey, whatever, 15 grams of olive oil and 150 grams of white rice. Now maybe you want to have you swap your chicken and olive
Shrimp.
oil out for bison. Like,
Oh.
fine, you can go ahead and do that. It's not that big of a deal. You know what I mean? But you're talking about minute changes that are really easy for you to get a grasp on over a short period of time. But if you're making something bigger out of that, like you're trying to fit this, you're trying to fit that, I would argue, A, you're going about it the wrong way. And B, it's obviously going to be harder to be able to stay organized and keep control of. But I would say, honestly, the app really does most of the work for you.
Mhm.
You just have to get used to the reality of, hey, if I need 30 grams of carbs, how much white rice is that? And that's something you learn with time, doing it over and over and over again.
Mhm.
If I need 45 grams of carbs, okay, how much white rice is that? But you get yourself a good working basis of reference, so to speak, right? Or base of reference that you can pull from over and over. Once you know how much 30 grams of carbs is in, X amount of white rice, then it's easier for you to understand how much 45 grams of carbs is. You know what I mean? If 30 is 100 grams, then, what's 40, 140 grams, 130 grams, you know what I mean? So on and
Yeah.
so forth. Son of a
My
bitch.
God,
So it does this
we
like
were
every
on a
other week.
roll.
Going back on now. Fuck.
Oh my God, there's
Stupid guy.
What the fuck?
Super gay.
where is Steve? Hello. Okay, got it.
I think this happens every time.
Are you live again, Steve?
Not yet.
Going back on.
Oh, there we go.
The fuck? Why does it do that?
Okay.
All right. So we all going, anybody have anything to add as far as the macros, the easiest way?
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, the only thing that I'd add is like there's definitely a learning curve. So what I tell people that are beginners is to keep it as simple as possible. Don't try to make these crazy meals when you're starting off, because like Tim said, like once you get over that hump, it becomes a lot easier. And then you can fancy stuff up, and it does become easy also to fancy things up. But yeah, keep it as simple as possible when you're learning. And then as any skill develops, it becomes easier.
So from there we got who, oh, sorry, we already did that one. How do you work around being in a relationship during a dieting if your significant other eats whatever they want, whenever they want, and then they put in capital letters every day?
Is this a lifestyle or bodybuilder?
This is, I think she's a competitor. It's not a client, but I've checked out her profile. I'm pretty sure she's a competitor. I'm not 100% though.
If I'm reading this right, it sounds like she's struggling to deal with her partner eating good foods in front of her. If
Yeah.
you're a competitor, don't be a pussy. Like, you chose to do this. It's a privilege to prep. You're still eating 5, 6 times a day. Ignore it. If you are tempted by food, then the shit's not for you. Like, if you're more tempted by the food than you are focused on actually doing well, then the shit's not for you. Plain and simple.
Can't get around if you have physique goals, you cannot get around the idea of food. You can't like you can't we all have heard it like it's you can't outwork a bad diet, yada yada yada. Like you have to be able to stay or at least practice restraint for people that aren't necessarily competitors, right? As far as consumption is concerned, you have to have some level of restraint. You gotta, I honestly even break it down further than that, Matt. And I'll tell people like, dude, you're an adult. Like, be a fucking adult. Like, that's really what it comes down to. Like, at the end of the day, there's plenty of shit that all of us want to do every single day, but we don't do it. Like, drink a pint of fucking Johnny Walker every night because I'm going to end up with liver cirrhosis and I can't wake up the next day and I'm hungover and all that different shit. But I want to. I want to at least feel that way every fucking night, right? But I don't do it because I'm a fucking adult and I have shit that I have to do. You know what I mean? I have goals that I have to attain and yada yada yada. Same exact concept when it comes down to it. But with that being said, I do live in a household where I have a lot of kids, just like Matt does. But I also have the and Steve, I guess too. But I also have the significant other that, basically eats whatever she wants when she wants. And the one thing I would say is that there is a conversation to be had there too, because at least in my case, right? Like Christine's the type where it's like, we'll go somewhere and I'm in the middle of dieting and she's buying a fucking, family case of 24 fucking Reese's, Easter egg fucking, yeah, right? That's what I'm saying. And this bitch is only going to eat a bite of one. And the rest of them are all going to be sitting in the freezer just fucking waiting for me every night at 2 a.m. And so, like, there's a conversation to be had there in that case where it's like, listen, get yourself Reese's. You don't need to get enough Reese's for the next 6 months. You don't need to get enough Reese's for me to fuck up here and be fucking, sleepwalking into the freezer every night. Like, have 2 Reese's if that's what you want. Like, get yourself Reese's. I don't give a shit. But like, don't get enough Reese's for, like I said, the apocalypse. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need to survive on this shit for the next X amount of weeks. You know what
Dude,
I mean?
I could eat 24 Reese's right now sitting here.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's my fucking every Easter, dude. I get the fucking thing, and that's my fucking Easter treat. You know what I mean? The entire bag, good to go.
It's easy.
But again, it's one of those ones where like you can have that general conversation with your significant other, and I'm sure you guys have a relationship where that they're going to respect you to at least some extent. But at the end of the day, it's also remember it's your goals, not their goals. I think there's got to be some balance there. Anybody else have anything to add to that?
No, I think you kind of nailed it down. I mean, in simplistic terms, it's like you choose to do this, suck it the fuck up. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Because it's like a very simple thing. They're not dieting. That's their decision. Your decision is to get ready for a show. You either have that discipline or you don't.
Yeah, think about if you were in a different environment too. Like, it's one thing to live with a significant other, you know what I mean?
I have been,
maybe be able to have a conversation. Well,
I have been in an environment like that. My parents, my sister, like I can't.
That's what I was gonna say.
You know what I mean? It's just I've never
exactly.
complained about it. It's I'm choosing to do this. So
yeah, and that's what I was even thinking, like more along the lines of like if you were a roommate, right, and you have like 3 other roommates the same age, they're grown ass motherfuckers. Like you're not gonna have a conversation with them like, hey guys, can you not bring this shit in there? Like it's their life.
Dude,
like,
if I looked at my parents and was like, hey, listen, I got 15 weeks for this show, my dad would have been like, shut the fuck up. That's literally what he would. He would have been like, you don't tell us what the fuck to buy in here. Like, it's not your house. You know.
The last thing I'll say about it, like, is the more we talk about it, the more I'm thinking about it, right? Beyond like all that, choosing to do it, being pussy, like, dude, there are people that like don't have money to eat, like be grateful that you get to eat chicken and fucking rice 6 times a day.
Facts.
You can also doctor it up a bit. It tastes pretty good. Like, be more grateful.
Yeah. That's usually honestly, I think a big point there too. Like, that's what I tell a lot of clients is like, dude, you got to find a way to make like is eating, ground bison and white rice and like that was just my last meal that I had, ground bison, white rice and zucchini. Like, some people will look at that and feel like it's like the most like bland or that it's not appealing in any way, shape, or form. Like, I think a lot of people. Yeah, I think a lot of people just need to get to a point where like that shit to me, I look forward to that fucking meal all goddamn day. Like, I love that. And I mean that sincerely too. That's not me talking like some sort of like, oh, I really like this bodybuilding. Like, no, dude, that's fucking an enjoyable meal. Like, it's a genuinely enjoyable fucking meal. And sometimes I think people just need to find a way to be able to produce meals in a way that they actually enjoy it, whether that's with whatever little condiment that they can add to it or the way that they're preparing it, or whatever, maybe swapping out fucking rice for potatoes, if that's your point of pleasure, like whatever it is that's going to actually allow you to enjoy it. But like, at the end of the day, again, if you can't find enjoyment, back to Matt's original point, if you can't find enjoyment in beef and white rice or chicken breast and potatoes or whatever, egg whites and oatmeal in the morning, if you can't find a way to enjoy those things, this probably isn't for you long term.
Nailed it.
Last one that I got two more here, but one of them I don't really understand. I'll throw it to you guys. He's on, or at least he was. So first one though is high blood pressure. And already, this is the second time I've heard this. This is not a client, somebody that is a client, very similar situation. High blood pressure, already on an ARB, right? So I could tell him to start in. A calcium channel blocker on top of that. They're doing cardio 4 times per week. They're relatively lean and only on TRT.
What's a calcium channel blocker?
He said relatively lean. I don't know. I didn't look at all. A calcium channel blocker is just another way to manage blood pressure.
Okay.
It's another medication for blood pressure.
It could be hereditary. He might, he still might be too heavy. Like what's relatively lean is different.
Yeah, he didn't say anything about lean. The other one I got from him was 160 over 90. It goes anywhere from 160 over 90 to 180 over 90.
So this is just from like personal, something that I would personally ask. How's his anxiety? Does he suffer? Because that could easily do it. Because for me, like
100%, yeah.
My blood pressure's been really good, right? Like last week when they took it at the doctor, I was like, after I calmed down, I was like 118 over 65 or something like that, like 66. So it's like, but then my anxiety when I first walked in there, knowing it was going to shove a fucking doornail in my shoulder, dude, it was like 145 over fucking 80. Like
mine was I think 160 over something. My histology number was a little bit lower, but mine was high too when I went into the doctor the other day. Same exact thing though. I knew it. Like my heart was pounding. I thought,
dude, it's
God damn it! You gotta be fucking kidding me. This has got to be like a fat thumb issue for Steve, right? Like this has got to be a fat thumb thing.
Somebody else start the fucking video.
I don't even know how to do that.
Yeah, neither do I actually, to be honest.
So flip to the left on Instagram. And on the bottom, just click live.
Oh, okay.
To the
I got
left.
it.
Because I don't know what the fuck's going on. That's ridiculous.
Okay, I'm going on. This is so much fun. So do I just wait for you guys to like come in?
Yeah, well, it'll send a request.
So do I
Actually,
just wait for you guys to like come in?
There you go. I requested.
Yay. Accept.
Actually, wait for you guys to like come in. There you go. I requested.
Yay. Hey guys, welcome to my live.
Boom, there we go. All right. Thank God.
No, Clever, you got to send your question again, dude.
But yeah, I forget where you're at. I would honestly say that's one where you need to make sure that you're going to a cardiologist. Like just don't fuck with that too much on your own. If you're working with a coach and they have you on an ARB and a calcium channel blocker, which is relatively normal, I guess, from a coaching perspective, like those aren't things that are, so dramatic that like I've seen it plenty of times. And it's talked about, so if you're working with a coach and they're doing that, I would just tell you like, hey, whoever this is, like make sure that you are relying on the right, people, the right information, and then you have access to a lot more from a medication standpoint. Like maybe you're somebody that would benefit more from a lisinopril. Maybe you're somebody that would benefit from, a different, mechanism of action there in terms of how we're managing the or controlling blood pressure. You know what I mean? Like maybe you need an ACE2 inhibitor, not an ARB. Like there's going to be other ways of being able to manage that. And you can find a medication that's a little bit more specific to you. But again, don't rely on Instagram information, right? Don't rely on a coach for that information. If you're chronically elevating your blood pressure, that's a scary thing as it relates to what we do here from a bodybuilding perspective. Like make sure that you're taking care of that. And again, I would go through a cardiologist to be able to figure that one out as opposed to trial and error here. But again, there are a ton of different opportunities from a medication standpoint there. And maybe that just needs to be something that, you kind of explore a little bit further with the right people in terms of physicians and practitioners. But yeah, that's one where I honestly, if you are relatively lean, right? I don't know what relatively means, but if you're lean enough, if you're only on TRT, right? You're doing your cardio, you're eating well, right? And then even to a certain extent, managing your sodium intake. And I would even say, you're on ARB, so potassium levels are automatically going to be a little bit higher, but making sure that you have some concept of how much sodium versus potassium you're getting enough potassium. Like it really comes down to, again, now you got to go through the proper channels to be able to get, a different look at some different medications potentially.
I was gonna say it too, look, maybe he needs a different medication.
Yeah.
And also, investing in a blood pressure monitor yourself, because if you're going and getting tested and the doctor's telling you this every time, it could be like in your head, right? It could be white coat high blood pressure, which I definitely have. Well, there's a couple of things, right? So if you have big arms, right, those cuffs are not made for big jacked men, right? So without fail, I go, the chick is doing it, my circulation in my arm is completely fucking cut off. And I'm also just, I hate going to the doctor, so my heart rate is already elevated, right? And every time they're like, oh, you have hypertension, huh? It's like, yeah, I probably do, but I do test myself like, 3 times a week, and the highest I ever see is not a high number at all, right? I'm generally within a normal range. That's one thing. Another thing in parallel to going to a cardiologist, because you definitely should, if you're elevated, go to a pulmonologist too and get tested for sleep apnea, because if you have really bad sleep apnea, it could have some downstream effects that would impact your blood pressure as well.
Sleep is actually a really good call. I didn't even think about that one. And I would also say, like, in general, like, look at your sleep a little bit deeper, right? Like, there's a lot of people, like, we've been going back for this Marina. We got an Aura ring, THC, REM sleep has been, so much better as she kind of recognized, like, hey, THC is something that's been inhibiting REM sleep. Like, that's going to play a big factor to Matt's point in terms of how well you're managing that blood pressure. So there's all types of little nuances and details there that can go into it, and being a little bit more organized with your approach. And then, like I said, maybe having the cardiologist have your back there with different medications. But yeah, I think there's also a big difference too when you have a guy like Matt talking about his blood pressure within a certain range, or if you're seeing guys of that size talking about it's a completely and totally different scenario saying you're relatively lean versus being in a full-blown fucking peak of my off season and I'm the biggest I've ever been. You know what I mean? Totally different scenarios where we're looking at totally different numbers, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we had Elon on here actually asked about good carb sources for somebody with Hashimoto's. And I the only thing that I would say about that is like that it could be very dependent on an individual. I would say, obviously the first thing we look at is gluten containing carbs and making sure that we try to get rid of as many gluten containing carbs as possible. To make sure that we're supporting that gut lining a little bit, right? TPO ABs are something that we want to be considerate of there. If those TPO ABs are elevated enough that we get an actual diagnosis for Hashimoto's and they're still elevated over time with Hashimoto's, again, managing that gut health is going to be the number one thing. So not just gluten containing carbohydrates, but also potentially looking into how we react to certain FODMAPs. So different veggies and different things that might be causing a lot of like irritation and GI distress in the gut. All of these things should be considerations as it relates to Hashimoto's. We got to remember Hashimoto's is an autoimmune condition, which is now we're talking about like the adaptive immune system, right? And we're talking about the body essentially needing to kind of turn on and handle these things that our body is finding offensive, so to speak. So again, if we're eating something and we're noticing that that's having a dramatic impact in terms of the way that we feel in terms of our digestion, right? Like there's an immune response that's happening to that in most cases. So I would say that could be very dependent on the individual and their individual tolerance to specific food groups. But I would say first thing and easiest thing is look at things like gluten and dairy that we know cause an inflammatory reaction in most.
Nice.
And then last one I got here, and I don't know if you guys know anything about it, but like what's up with muscle pumps during meals?
All right.
That's all I got. That was the question. I don't know if Bernard's still on, he could chime in on that, but muscle pumps during meals.
Hard would be yoked. I mean, I definitely get them for sure. Like if I'm eating it, sometimes I'll notice like I have a pump in my arms. I mean, dude, like when you're fucking yoked, you got a lot of blood to get to those muscles. So I mean, I think it's a natural thing. Instant response kicking off. I don't know. I definitely notice it.
But that's it for me.
Attention.
Yeah,
You gotta
I
get
don't,
more
I'm
jacked,
not
dude.
I'm not big enough. Yeah. I don't know.
How many you got, Pat?
So they're not like questions. What I did, because every time I put the question box, I get like a bunch of bullshit, right? I put like, hey, what are some of your worst experiences at shows? And lessons learned from like a contest prep.
Yeah.
Um, so I got some answers. But maybe we'll ask the question to the group here first to see. So two-part question, right? What was the worst experience you ever had in a show? That can mean anything, right? Then what are some lessons learned from a prep?
Worst experience at a show when I wasn't ready and I got on stage anyways. That was the DC Pro Am in 2021. And I did learn a lot from that. If you're not ready, you're not ready.
I don't know about.
Do you blame Tim?
No.
I told her we were close. I told her we were like, it was iffy a couple weeks out. And then I think what she always leaves out here is that she won her collegiate class. Like she literally
It was
won.
the collegiate class, and there was
And then
two
you took
girls.
fourth, I think. In the other girl also, she did well in the open too, didn't she?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she took like second or something like that in the open. She did well in the
He's
open.
trying to spin. No, I looked like shit.
No, I'm
the
pretty
story
sure that
is
girl
I
beat
look
you.
like
Remember,
absolute
I'm almost,
dog
I'm almost
shit.
positive the girl you beat in the collegiate class beat you in the open.
No, she
and
didn't.
that was I'm pretty sure that's
She
what
didn't.
what
I
happened.
don't. I'm pretty positive she didn't. I don't either. She
Pull
wasn't
up the
in my
NPC
class.
website.
Okay, we'll pull it up.
But the reality is, wait, what was the reality? Oh yeah, it was definitely she wasn't ready. Like she wasn't lean enough. Unless it was 2024, then she'd definitely be lean enough. But I don't know what worse experience at a show. Does it have to be like to do with placings and stuff like that?
Whatever you want.
All right.
You,
So
you
last year
fucking
we did
crashed your car between prejudging and finals. Like whatever.
last year we went to a show at a high school, typical, right? No AC, literally the dead end of July, right? So literally the entire day, we have like 8 people in this show, right? The entire day is just you're fucking dripping, right? So you got athletes backstage that are in the cafeterias, the backstage, right? No AC, they just got these big fans going, barely doing a fucking thing. Everybody's dripping, the
Oh
fucking
yeah,
fans are
that
running.
as
It
well.
was fucking horrific. Plus, I have my daughter is with me who wants to be held the entire goddamn time. So I got this 4-year-old that's just stuck to me the entire day. It was horrific. It was absolutely horrific. It's like, how long shows are to begin with, right? Like
Okay,
they're
Tim.
long days. They can be draining. Being fucking, in 80-degree weather or whatever it is, the whole day on top of that, it was miserable.
Okay, ready? So she won her novice class, which I can't do novice because I'm not a novice, right? Then class C, we were both in class C. I got 4th, she got 6th.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm right.
How many girls were there in the class?
11.
Okay, so won your collegiate class and took 4th in the open.
Yeah, I looked like shit.
Is that have you only done shows with Tim?
Yeah, I've never had another coach. Never have, never will. Because I have trust issues.
Steve, what about you?
So what was the first part? Worst experience?
Yeah.
Probably at Junior USA is when Sandy didn't have us do 3 poses. I thought that was complete horseshit.
Like they didn't do like side try or last, like that's what you mean?
Both lat spreads and side tricep. She didn't have no side tricep. We did. It was back, front double, back lat spread, and front lat spread. She skipped them all. It literally
It's
went.
not-
It literally
not
went to
typical.
face front to side chest.
It's like not typical of her.
Yeah, Sandy's
Oh, well.
good.
It was typical there, bro. And none of the judges were paying attention. Only her. Gary Udite. They were all on their phones. One of the judges on the left side of the table was literally turned the fuck around laughing with someone in the first row.
Is that really how you say his name? Udite?
Yeah, Gary Udite.
I had no idea that. Was
I
how
always
you
heard him say Udit. In
Yeah,
all the
I
videos
honestly-
he does
I've-
with PA Muscle.
I've never heard
Hey
shit.
guys, it's Gary Udit.
I just assumed it was Udite.
Oh, okay. Gary Udit, whatever. And that was probably the worst experience because then the next day we were in the lobby and I saw him and I'm like, hey, like, can I ask you this? And I showed him pictures on stage. He was like, yeah, this guy's in first. And I'm like, no, that was me in second. He's like, oh, I don't know. You might want to email the head judge. Like, I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like,
That's
so
one thing I hate about shows in general, though. Sometimes the feedback, it should be something that we can kind of rely on to get feedback, right? Like you want to get better
dude.
from show to show
And
to
then
show.
she never answered the emails. Never answered.
Yeah, I mean, that's not like her though in general. Like there, I know we, especially at Junior USA, like you have a line like fucking hours long, literally, to speak to these people in person. But it's also one of those things. I understand how tough it is to have so many people on stage and to be able to remember people and give that
Yeah,
specific
no,
feedback.
I get all that, but like,
No, but I'm saying it's still tough where it's like, especially if you're a coach and like you're telling your athlete to get that feedback from those people so that we know exactly what to work on again. And then you get the feedback and they're like, well, you got to build more calves. And I'm like, what? It's a men's physique competitor. What the fuck are we talking about? Is that all you can come up with? Like
yeah.
legitimately, that's all you
I
can
mean,
come up with.
there's literally, I mean, now we're just talking about there's some times where you're just like, and you hate to be like this, but it's like, tell me that there wasn't politics involved without telling me there was politics involved. You know what I mean? Like how are you going to not call 3 poses like in prejudging? You know what I mean? Like it's just
Well, on that same note, too, like you do, I know for a fact that there are certain coaches that will go to those same judges that didn't give us any like critical feedback or any real like good feedback, right? But yet, if this coach goes up who is, a big sponsor for NPC or a big sponsor for IFBB shows, right? And they're on everything, like this person's going to get all the critical feedback necessary based on that females or their competitors showing, right? And it's like, and I'll see that multiple times from these bigger names that are supporting these shows, and then it trizzles all the way down to the 4th place competitor, 3rd place competitor. It's like, I don't really know who you or your coach is. I don't remember you. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But it's again, they know whose athlete that is, and they already are thinking when they're seeing them on stage, what's wrong with that individual. They can bring that information back to them.
Yep.
My worst experience was my second season, 3rd show I've ever done. This was 2012 Natural Mania IMBF show. I was the only person in my weight class. So being a broke, like 19-year-old who just spent all the money on the coach, on the food, on everything, the show, to show up and be the only person in my weight class, like broke me. And that's when I started fucking juicing. I did T Nationals there that year. So that was my worst experience for sure. It was fucking miserable the whole day. And lesson learned was just after my first season, I did 2 shows, natural in 2011. And I basically did like a 16-week prep with no refeed and like an hour cardio day. So the lesson learned was hire a coach. That's what I did the next season.
Yeah, that sucks. That's awful. And I don't know what's worse too. Like if you show up and what were you? You were a lightweight, you said?
Light heavy. The season I was the only guy. I was a light heavyweight.
You were a light heavyweight. So, and it's even worse because it's like, what is worse? Them just giving you the medal and telling you that you won, you know what I mean? Or them grouping you with the heavyweights, which I've seen too, especially the natural shows.
I would have rather that.
Would
So
you?
they just gave me the trophy and it was like, cool.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
paid,
At
a
least
few grand for that piece of
if
plastic.
if you did do well against the heavyweights, I guess that's something that is fucking you can hang your hat on. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a
Yeah.
tough one. It
And you know
really
how I
is.
don't know if you like coach any natural guys, but oftentimes at those regional, well, it was a super pro qualifier back in the day, which probably had like 30 competitors. But like a lot of times in the natural shows, dudes just don't show up in shape. Like they're super
Yeah.
fat.
Oh,
So
100%.
and that I remember that the heavyweight class was a joke, and I wish that they put me against them because I would have beat them both.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
different story.
Antoine Vaillant coached me for that show, and I got in actually really good shape.
Yeah, that's
He
tough.
was a great coach actually. So anyway, a lot of the answers I got revolved around running out of food as the worst experience at a show. And you guys know, like peaking somebody it's dynamic, especially the last couple of days. Like you're changing the amount of food that they eat on the fly, right? So it is kind of hard as a coach to say, hey, bring X amount of this and X amount of that, especially when somebody is traveling, especially if it's multiple days, right? If they're going to like a national show or something. So I'm curious, like, what guidance you give your clients to mitigate them from running out of food.
I'm first and foremost, I'm going to tell them over prepare for sure, but I'm
Yeah.
also going to tell them like, listen, have whatever 3 pounds of
Yep.
this chicken made, have 3 pounds of this beef made, and then at the end of the day, you are going to have leftover food,
Yep.
right? And I want those 3 pounds are just for legitimately Friday, Saturday, and that's it. So
Yep.
we got 6 pounds of meat for those 2 days. There's no way we're going to use that amount.
No.
And then again, same thing with white rice. It's like make sure that you have X amount of pounds of that shit ready to go. Coconut oil, an entire jar, whatever. Have your salt shaker with you, like all of those, specific things. We're going to make sure that we have enough of it. And then anything else that you need leading up to that. Let's say you're going to show up at whatever show, on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or whatever the case might be. You got to make sure you have your food for that, separate than the food that we're going to be dictating meal to meal. But again, yeah, if you run out of food, I'll kill you. And that's basically my motivation for them to not run out of food. I
Anything
would
else
say,
on that?
I would just say if you run out of food on show day, like that to me is like you're like, don't be underprepared on show day. Like be over prepared on show day. You know what I
To
mean?
be fair, to play devil's advocate, I brought fuck ton of rice.
Yeah, we ran out.
And I ran out of food. Like it was exorbitant amount of rice.
Yeah.
But when you're eating 500 grams per meal and like 10
Yeah.
meals a day. So anything else on that?
No.
All right. So one funny story, not a question, but a guy said his worst experience was that he didn't bring a jacket and he competed, and for whatever reason the venue had all the athletes outside. So I'm assuming he got rained on and fucking tan just got fucked.
That's fucked
So
up.
that
Why
sucks.
did they have them outside?
He said it was in Poughkeepsie, New York, so it was probably some like humdrum shitty ass show.
Hmm.
But nonetheless, that sucks. The last one, I had a couple of people put their worst experience as poor placings, right? Like to your point earlier, Steve, like some political shit or like somebody just got overlooked and got beat by people that were like super soft or whatever. What advice do you give your clients when that happens? Right? Because that's
Move forward.
that sucks, right?
Yeah,
Like so what kind of pep talk do you give your clients when that happens?
It's out of your control. That's what I
It's out,
say. It's out of
yeah,
your
I was gonna
control.
say.
You can't start spiraling and try to think about if I did this, if I did that, whatever. It's behind you. Move forward. We'll do better.
Yeah, that's it. Like it's a subjective sport, right? There's no scoreboard. Like there's nothing we can do, right? Sure, you can email the judges. We can see like what the case was, right? Like what you got to work on, but they're rarely ever going to tell you why you lost. You know what I mean? Because sometimes there's just not a reason why, right? It's just subjective, but and that, we know what we're signing up for too, I would tell them, right? Like this is a subjective sport. There's no scoreboard. So we just got to get better, right? Take the judges' feedback and get better.
I say to them is like, it sucks. I understand why you're upset, but like, fuck them. Come back so much better next time that you can't be denied, right? They can't overlook you. You know what's funny, because like I've been the victim of bad calls. Not a lot, but like one in particular that was extremely questionable. And it's funny because like I kind of took it on the chin, right? I was upset for like an hour, and then I was done with it. Well, like at Atlantic States, like not being a biased coach, like objectively, right? Like I've been in this or I've been following it for fucking over a decade. Like I can easily take my emotion out of this bullshit and look at it objectively. My guy that did classic was overlooked so bad in open, and I was so fucking angry. I was raging.
I think I know
And
exactly what you're talking about too. I actually agree with you on that. And I only saw pictures. Like I was going to message you, but I didn't want to piss you off. I didn't know what kind of state of mind you were in. You know what I mean? But is it going to make it worse? And I only saw pictures on Instagram too, so it's not really fair. But I think I know what you're talking about, and I think I agree with you.
well, this is, dude, and the point I'm making is like when you're an athlete, at least from my perspective, you kind of take it on the chin. Like you're like, all right, let's fuck it, let's go better next time. As a coach, like I was so fucking angry. And like one of my friends, not somebody who's my athlete, same thing, like not even can you guys like inside out pro level conditioning. As soon as he got on stage for classic, he was pushed off to the center, off far away. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, dude, like he's making the rest of these guys look soft, and some of them are actually pretty good. But anyway, the last point I'll make on this, and it was so fucking strange. I've never seen placings that didn't make sense when somebody was centered, right? So in open C for my guy in classic, it was 11 guys. They did a 4-man first call. He was not in it. I disagreed. Two of the guys were significantly softer, but they were much bigger. So I could make an argument, especially with Steve being the head judge, right? So second call out was 7 guys. he was on the second to far left to begin, and they had him hit a couple poses. They moved him in. They had him hit a couple poses, and they moved him in again. So he's dead center out of 7 guys, right, in the second call. So I'm like, okay, good. He's going to get fifth, right? He ended there. They did 2 rounds, and he ended there. He got eighth. Like, did
Yeah,
you
it's
mix
very
up
weird.
his number? Like, I don't understand. You know, like I don't know. Didn't make sense to me. I was really angry, but.
Yeah, only thing I would say about that is like you as a coach, you really got to remember who is judging the shows and kind of what they're because I'll tell you right now, same exact show last year. We all know Anthony did that show. Gonzalez, right? Was
He got fucked
peeled
over,
out of his
yeah.
mind, looked fucking fantastic in every way, shape, or form. And again, I wasn't there. I didn't see the entire lineup. I don't remember it off the top of my head at the very least. But what I can tell you is he's probably the most conditioned guy on stage. If he wasn't, he was one of them. For him to take the placing that he did, and the guy that won,
Matt.
right? We saw who wasn't in condition at all. He was big, but he definitely wasn't in condition.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, and we're not talking
wait,
something that's close. We're
Are you
talking
talking about the
apples
kid
and
who won
oranges.
that weight class?
I think
Yeah.
so. The black kid, right?
Oh
No,
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 he
no,
was
no,
black.
no,
He was
no,
white.
no.
So maybe the black kid won the overall,
Yes, yeah.
and he was soft.
Yeah, he was soft, but
He was just big and had good
The-
proportion. He had a small
the
waist.
kid who won Ant's class hit me up afterward to coach him, and I did for a few months. Bro, still to this day, the craziest text I have ever got message from anybody. Dude, I'm gonna send it to you. This shit was Matt knows that's why he's laughing.
Yeah.
Bro, it was
Dude, I remember like
he was
we were in Tennessee when he reached out to you. I literally walked off stage with my pro card. He messaged you.
bro, I almost pissed myself from laughing so hard. That shit was so dude, I really wanted to just message him back and be like, Are you on drugs? Like, what kind of drugs are you on, bro? Like, it was crazy shit. Like, said someone broke into his house and replaced everything.
Oh, you told me about this.
Dude, it was insane. I gotta send you the text though, bro. He said like they stole his cream of rice and replaced it with third party cream of rice from like China. I was like, what the fuck, bro? Like, I text him back. I'm like, damn, not the cream of rice,
Yeah. No, I remember you telling us that,
bro.
but
It was so
yeah,
wild.
I think, Matt, you just got to remember where these shows are, who's producing these shows, who's judging these shows. And then honestly, if you don't find it to be a fair, like for me personally, I wouldn't let anybody compete at Atlantic States. I would maneuver around that. I'll maneuver around certain shows and go places that I know judging is probably going to be a little bit more per what my thought process is going to be as far as the outcomes are concerned. Does that make sense?
But
Yeah. That's
So-
why I had Sam and my 2 other clients do Lehigh because I know that they're fairly consistent, right? Like I like how like look at the
100%.
judging across the board was very consistent, right?
it's always
It-
consistent there.
Yeah.
With Nikki, it's always consistent.
Well, my other guy, right? He's out here on Long Island with me. You know, I offered like, hey, you want to do the show too, right? But you know, he opted to do Atlantic States. But I agree, man. It's sad because you talk to so many people and they agree. Like a lot of the Northeast shows are a little, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing that's good about Nikki too is like she'll give reasons where sometimes like I remember one show I didn't agree with it, and then like the perspective was basically like, hey, you got to look at it within this lineup, and within this lineup, this is what I'm looking at, and I'm like, all right, like at least like you can take that information in, you can digest it, and you're like, okay, that actually makes sense.
Yeah, but it's also
when you're-
valid. It's also valid feedback where you
That's what I'm saying.
understand it. It's not, oh, you got to bring your biceps up. You got to bring your
No, yeah,
fucking
exactly. That's what I'm
abs
saying.
up, you know?
That's what I'm saying. Like when all the dust settles and like you can look at something logically, you're like, all right, that actually makes sense. Like I totally get that. You know, it makes sense. But like when you're looking at somebody that's like, dude, did you diet all like are you 6 weeks out? Like where are we going? Like how does this person win the overall? Like I don't like it's not like you can't really justify that with somebody's words at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get to all these questions, so we'll save one for next week. But I'll ask like 2 of them. This one's will be pretty quick. Can you make the same progress training 4 days versus 5 or 6? 100%. I think honestly,
Yes.
sometimes even more.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I would err on the side of more on that one.
Yeah,
for sure.
Is the Smith machine as effective as a free bar in terms of making progress? I would say,
Depends.
but I would say yes, it 100% can be.
Yeah.
I would say, honestly, at the end of the day, you could argue either way, but I would say the stability that you're going to get from a Smith machine probably makes it superior within most movements relative to a free bar.
Yep.
It's not like you can load one up with more weight than the other.
Yep. All All right, so these ones like have nothing to do with bodybuilding, kind of like some of the ones you got, Tim. But if you didn't know your age, how old would you think you are?
That's so crazy that they just asked that because I was just thinking, like, I'm so bad with age and like guessing people's ages or gauging people's ages. And like, I feel like I don't look or act 24, but I mean older and younger. Like, I act younger, I look younger, but I also act older and look older. So it's wild that they just asked that. That's crazy.
Yeah,
I've been
so-
thinking about this today because I'm so bad with age.
Did you ask this question?
No,
So weird. Oh, that's weird.
that's so weird. Like, I was literally just thinking about this today.
Well, I would
So
think
would you think that people, so the question is, would you think people think that you're?
no. If you didn't know your age, how old would you think you are?
Oh, fuck. I don't
That's
fucking
see,
know.
but I'm so bad at that. Like, I don't know what
Like if
age
you
people
if
would
I
think
if
I
I
am.
if I couldn't see and I just felt my knees and my shoulders, I think I'm like 97.
I was gonna say easily in my 50s. Easily in my
Me
50s.
too. I was gonna say I'm easily in my 50s.
Not even from like a pain thing. Like I hate everyone.
I don't leave my house.
Grandpa.
I
Imagine
am
grandpas.
like I listen to Talk
35,
Radio.
Sam. Thank you.
Steve and Matt, 35, 10, 43. You know
Wow.
what, Sam? You know what the heck, dude?
I honestly have
Pretty
no
fucking
idea.
freeing. Yeah.
No, 35. That's such a compliment.
So
That's like-
me off season, I agree, like 35, maybe 40. Me pre-contest, I'm like 23, young buck.
I feel like people look
I
older
don't
when
think
they're
I don't think I've
leaner.
ever seen you pre-shot.
not with
pre-contest.
them.
I
Not
haven't.
with them knees now, buddy.
I'm 29 again.
You're going to like with
I
them
don't
knees in
know.
prep. You're going to like easily 34.
By my libido, like 18.
Oh well, if we're talking that, I'm like 14.
Yeah. This guy just found his dick. What is this?
Yeah, I'm like, what's going on down here? Yeah, I'm like 14. But if you go based off of like everything else, I'm easily probably like 47.
I have no idea. I'm just bad with age. I can't. Like, if I saw me walking in the street, had a conversation, I'd probably. I don't know.
22.
I think I'd say either 22 or like
It's
27.
It's 22. That's actually a good range though, because we're 30 and I just said I'm like 55.
I think I'm
So-
in 22 or 27. There's no in between.
Fair.
Very hurt that I'm 43 years old.
It's
It's obviously my maturity level, but I mean, whatever. Shaving my beard tomorrow.
How was it going from a competitor to coaching? Your mindset being both.
Oh wait, what? I'm still thinking about 43. What was it? How was it being how was the mindset of what?
She said, "I'm sorry, Botox."
Mindset of Botox.
Bro talk.
Dude, she's always trying to get me to get Botox.
Thank you, Jenny. Like,
Um,
she said 27.
How was it going from being a competitor to coaching? Like from being both and your mindset?
It's a good question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wait.
So I think like the last 2 years, I've become very more direct from a coaching aspect. But I also too notice myself expecting the same from somebody as I am as a client. You know what I mean? Like check in on time, do what you're told, right? Ask questions that definitely you can learn from and benefit from. Like I like those type of questions, right? Just like so it's like similar to how I am as on the client side as what I expect. I've noticed that too. But I think just from the coaching side, it's just a much more direct approach, right? That's pretty much it. I mean, I don't, that's all I really got for that.
Still not sure I understand the question.
Yeah, same. I don't think, yeah. I don't have
Again,
thoughts.
The way I'm thinking about it, and maybe this will help you guys, like your mindset as an athlete, right? Like you would think
Versus
like,
the coach.
you're just like waiting for orders from your coach. You're not thinking about like what is the downstream effect of if we have more carbs or more like right shit like that.
Right.
Versus like when you're in the coach's shoes, I can say like at least for myself, given that out of all of us, I'm the newest coach, right? So I've had that transition from just athlete to coach more recently than the rest of you. So I guess I could reflect a little bit like more fresh. Like I would say I don't know. It's like you go from being like the worker bee to kind of like the project manager, like an architect for the project, right? And I found myself oftentimes like working with Steve for the 3 years that we did is like he would implement some change for some reason. And I would think to myself, like, what is the outcome we're trying to get here? So I always kind of had that thought process in the back of my mind on, hey, like, why is he doing this? And what is the outcome that we're trying to get? So it just kind of like amplified that once I did become a coach. And I'm the architect now, right? I'm the one making the decisions to help get to the outcome, right? But at the same time, you are also a project manager because you're making sure you're checking every box to get to the end goal of whatever it is, your weight loss goal, the competition, so on and so forth. So I guess that's how I look at it, at least.
So I guess if the question is like the difference between you as an athlete and you as a coach, I would, for me, I'm completely and totally different. I would say I'm polar opposites. Like as an athlete, like I just want to be told what to do, and I don't want to really question it, and I just want to like do it. Period. Plain, sweet, and simple. Done. Stop. Like I'm probably like when and you can ask anybody I've ever worked with before, like Marita, you know, Austin, you can ask them. Like my feedback to my coach is always like exactly what I need to give them. Nothing more, nothing less. I'm the type of person like I'm going to give you whatever 1 or 2 sentences, right? Give you all the critical information, weight, yada, 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 whatever biofeedback you're asking for. Send me back my email and you're not going to hear back from me. I'm just going to do whatever it is that you tell me to do. And that's it. You know what I mean? Bottom line. Whereas with coaching, I'm far more, like I'm the type of person too, when it comes to learning in general. Like I need to be able to immerse myself in any one topic that there is, right? Like I'm not just gonna like whatever have a conversation on a mentor call that I have or an education call that I have or whatever it is that I'm going through as far from a learning perspective or education perspective. I'm not gonna learn everything in that one call that I need to learn to feel 100% confident in that. I'm gonna go and dive in like for the next 3 weeks. I'm watching every YouTube video. I'm pulling up every article. I'm looking at different research, right? Like, and then I am, from a coaching perspective, I want to implement these things in a way where they make, like not just sense on a surface level, but I can legitimately, like, I understand, like, if I implement this here, it's going to have this effect now, but then potentially set us up for this down the road. You know what I mean? Like, I want to make sure that I'm looking ahead as a coach, right? And that I have things figured out for that athlete. Like, if Marina, we're going through a process right now. Like, I'm not just thinking about, like, okay, we're done dieting. Here's what we're going to do. Like, I want to have something set up where I know for the next, whatever, 4 to 6 weeks, this is what the potential outcome is going to be from what we're doing right now. Does that make sense? So, like, I need to be immersed in everything and I want to plan ahead and I want to know what very, I don't know what you want to call that. Is that analytical? I don't know if that's analytical. A very deep, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't
Tedious,
know. Yeah, whatever.
detailed.
But on the athlete side, I'm the exact opposite of that. I don't just give me the fucking work, let me do it, and let me shut my brain off, and that's it.
That's what I mean as like the architect, right? Like you have a strategy.
Yeah.
You're not just making arbitrary decisions or tactical decisions that are going to have one immediate outcome. Like you're making a strategic decision to meet an outcome now, but set yourself up for an outcome later as well.
Yeah, that's honestly the thing that I always go back to, not to make this long-winded, is like, but like when I was younger, one thing that I loved to do, right, was I didn't really play, and I'm old, right? 43 years old. So I played, you guys remember the little green GI Joes? You remember those, man?
Yes.
So I had buckets of those fucking things when I was younger, right? Because they were fucking cheap and we were poor. So like that was the only toy that I had. But like I wouldn't fight like some kids would like play like poo, 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 shoot each other, whatever. I would set up like the brown guys versus the green guys. And like I would make this cool battlefield. Like my whole time playing was just like being the architect of what this battlefield would look like. Like this guy's laying down here, I got a sniper up there, right? And then that would be it for me. I wouldn't actually make the noises or like make the shooter like have this, right? It was just putting it together. Later on, I got into baseball a lot, right? And there were baseball video, MLB The Show came out on PlayStation, and I would never play the actual game. Like I wouldn't pitch, I wouldn't bat. I would create these teams, do all the trading, and then simulate the entire season. And I would play literally decades into the future. That's not an exaggeration, right? Like just building teams every year and like putting together this concept on paper to work from, and then again, simulate it and let it do its own thing. And that's honestly, I feel the same way with coaching and putting a plan together. Like when I'm putting that plan together, I'm putting it together and to Matt's point, like being the architect here, and then I get to see it play out when people are following the plan the right way, at least,
Yeah, I guess I'm like similar to Tim in that sense that I mean I'm very detail oriented in like everything that I do. So I feel like the way I am as an athlete versus a coach is just very similar. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just more tedious with being a coach. than just straight up following whatever Tim's, you know what I'm saying? If Tim says this, I do. So, you don't know.
I'm gonna ask one more. Would you rather lose all your memories or never be able to make a new one? It's a hard question.
This is
I would-
tough.
I would probably say,
Actually-
yeah, go ahead, you go, Matt. Go ahead.
I would rather lose all my memories because, like,
Yep.
I wake up one day, I got a hot wife laying in bed next to me, I got two cute kids, got a pretty decent house, right? Like, I think I'd make some good new memories.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Like, if you were asking me before Vienna, might be a little, obviously the answer might be a little different, but now with her, I'd rather lose all my past memories.
It's tough for me. I have a 17-year-old. She's a total bitch at this point. So
Jesus
all the good stuff happened when she was like, a baby up, all the way through until
Jesus
honestly, until
Christ.
she was like 13, 14, 15 years old. And then it started to go downhill. But again, I love my daughter to death. I'm just saying, like, honestly, if I had to make new memories and I only get to see my 17-year-old, you know what I mean? I don't have any babies anymore. I have a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 17-year-old. It's just, it wouldn't be fair to lose all those memories. But on the other side of that, I didn't have the best childhood either. So like losing all of those memories, like I think I had one of those experiences where like I block a lot of that shit out anyway. So I don't know if I would miss any of the early memories, but like as the memories that I would miss are as an adult. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'd lose my memories.
I'm in between. In between.
But I'm very highly in between, yeah.
Lose your memories or be Drew Barrymore in 50 First Dates.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, be nice.
But you get to know, right? Like they made the video and she knew every day. I don't know. I think I'd take Drew Barrymore 51st Dates or whatever the fuck it's called. I think I would take that. I would fucking act like a fucking complete. I'd be off the hinge though. For 100%. Drugs all day, every day, hammered 24/7,
Jesus
zero care in the
Christ.
world whatsoever. Wake up the next day like that shit never happened. I stuck my what and what?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
All right.
On that note,
I shall sign us off. Thank you everyone for listening. We'll catch you guys next week.